Okay, so if you remember, we derived the equation for critical field, that is Vc is equal to 1 by 2 pi
1 by 2
square root of g by where r is nothing but radius volume and small r is the radius of ball or grinding area. Okay, fine. But in the textbook, most of the textbook they have given this expression, 42.3 divided by square root of d minus d. So what is this d and d? So this d is diameter of ball and small d is diameter of ball. Okay. That means we in this equation we represent in form of radius, but we need in diameter. Right? And if it will be diameter, the expression is very easy because we don't have to remember this d and pi and all, right? And you have to remember this equation is basically in form of RPM, revolution per minute. Per minute, how many times you are revolving the ball mill. But this equation you have to remember, this one is in RPM, revolution per minute. This is revolution per second. Sorry, this is revolution per second, and this one is revolution per minute. This formula. So I can simply write quickly. So 1 by 2 pi. So g by, so d by 2 small d by 2. Because radius is nothing but half of the diameter. So you understood? So d by 2 and this is small d by 2. Then we can simply write this is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of d by, so 2 here d minus d. Okay? Or I can write 1 by 2 pi, so 2g by d minus d. Okay, fine. This is fine. Then simply put the value of g. We know that it is 9.81 and pi is 3.14. Just put it and get the answer. You will end up with maybe Vc is equal to just change 0.725 or something. 725 or 75? Okay. 0.705. 0.705 divided by d minus d. So this is the final expression I will get, and this expression is nothing but in RPM. Oh, sorry, RPM, revolution per second.
Yes.
Fine. This is the then finally and yeah. RPS, revolution per second. This expression is still now revolution per second. But finally we want this expression in terms of diameter, but revolution per minute. Simply we need to multiply 60. That's all. Done. So Vc is equal to 0.705 d minus d into 60. You end up with this answer 42.3. The final expression. Diameter is given and mill diameter is given. You can use this expression, finally you will get in RP. So this is your RPM, in revolution per minute. Okay, yes, it is clear, I think. It's very simple, but in the previous lecture there was some confusion. Anyways, then we'll move to this one. Screen opening per unit area of the screen. That is denoted by area opening, or A, this is O actually, not this area opening. AO. The screening efficiency basically depend upon the number of openings. So that means more is the number of opening, more is the efficiency of screening. Right? Of course, because undersized particles will pass very easily if number of openings is more. Right? So that is denoted by, if you remember, already I have discussed that. Again I am saying. So A0 is the percentage area opening is equal to how much? Length by length plus, or what I told in the previous section? Minus? Yes, sir, minus. I told you minus, are you sure? Yes, this is plus, not minus, this is plus. Okay, this is diameter. L by L plus W. This is the representation. This is L by L plus W. Actually, this is the real representation. Maybe in the previous lecture we got confused. Anyways, L by L plus W square, no? right?
L plus L.
So that's why maybe that numerical got wrong. Anyways, this is the formula, and this formula is basically for what? For square opening screens. Square opening means you people understood. That means suppose this is. So this is square opening, right? Because this is L, this is also L, this is also L, and this is also L. So length of the opening or length of the aperture. It is also called aperture or opening, whatever. And if you remember, this one is nothing but your W. This one is your W. It is actually diameter of the screens. W is nothing but diameter. You can write W also, there is no issue. Instead of W, you can write also D, whatever. This is also same. W is also. But the moment, if I consider a rectangular screen or rectangular opening screen, right? So this formula will not work, of course. Why it will not work? If I will use a rectangular, suppose I am using a rectangular screen. Suppose I am considering rectangular screen. Suppose this length is greater, this length is small, of course. Rectangular. And similarly, that means this one, this dia, and this dia also change, right? That means if I am moving in this direction, horizontal direction, in a rectangular screen, and in vertical direction, my diameter of the wire will also change, and my length of the opening also changes, right? If it is square, then everything is fine, right? Okay. Actually, what exactly happened? You have a open space. Just you are arranging the wires, right? So wires means wires have a diameter, right? Wires have a diameter, and that diameter will decide the gap actually, the openings, right? So anyway, so you understand my point. So if suppose I am writing this one, this is suppose W, yeah, W1. So this is in this direction I am considering. That means I am considering this one. So this is suppose L1, right? This is L1 and this diameter is W1. Okay, fine. So similarly in this direction if I consider, so this is for example L2, length 2, right? And this is for example your W2. Right? Done. So your expression will change now. Okay, so area opening for a rectangular screen will be equal to L1 L2 divided by. So here it will be L1 plus W1 multiplied with L2 plus W2 into 100. So this is the formula for a rectangular screen. So you might get a simple question, numerical. Find out the percentage area opening in a square screen or percentage area opening in a rectangular screen. So you can use this simple formula. This is also essential for your GATE exam. You might get some numerical related to this in the GATE exam. So it is fine, right? So this is maybe Dinesh sir you will talk about during your lab class, right? Anyway, so mesh. So mesh is actually nothing but technically the screens are also called mesh. Actually that is a unit. We can define the screen on the screen openings on the basis of mesh. So mesh is nothing but a unit kind of thing. Right? We are defining in form of a micrometer. My screen dia is this, you can say. So mesh is nothing but a unit to define the screen technically. So what is exactly mesh? So you can write the definition otherwise in a simple way. So mesh can be defined. The mesh can be defined. A mesh of a screen can be defined in the relation can be defined in a relation that is, I can say so I can simply say this is mesh. So nothing but I can simply write L plus W. That simply means how many number of openings are there in that screen if you move in a linear direction. Either you can move in horizontal direction, you can move in vertical direction. Linear means straight line. So you have a screen, for example. You just move in this direction and check how many number of openings are present or apertures are present per unit length of the screen. That is nothing but your mesh, or some people call mesh number. If I am attaching a number, that means number of openings, but number of openings in a linear direction, not in any other direction. You should move in a linear direction. You should not move like this. You should not move like this. You should move in particular straight line. And you need to find out how many number of apertures or openings are present. And that should be a unit length. So unit length here basically for screens, we are saying unit length in form of inch, or I can take millimeter. So in 1 inch, how many number of openings are there? That is the mesh number. Or in 1 linear inch, how many number of openings? Or 1 linear mm, how many number of openings are there? That is defined the mesh number or mesh. Simply. Some people call it same mesh, some people call mesh number. Is it fine? So per linear inch, how many number of openings are there? Or per linear mm, how many number of openings that define the mesh? Right? So it doesn't mean, suppose I am saying my screen mesh is 4. So what it means? I have 4 number of openings per linear inch or per linear mm, whatever you are deciding. It can be 4.5 also, right? Or it may be 2.5. It doesn't mean it will be completely whole number like 4, 5, 6. It may be 4.5, 2.5. It depends. But you have to travel linear direction, particular in a unit length. It is fine, I guess. So simply I can represent like this, because if you move in a linear direction, you have length of the opening and you have diameter of the wire. So L plus 1 by L plus 2 per linear inch. You understood? So this becomes this, right? The expression will change. The expression will change if the screen is rectangular. Okay, let me check. Yeah. Okay, fine. So expression will change if you decide. So this is actually in inch. This relation is in form of inch. Now I will convert it into mm, right? So we know that what? 1 inch is equal to 25.4 mm. So you can simply write like this. So it will become what? 25.4 divided by L plus W. Simply 25.4 divided by L plus W, of course, right? Because 1 inch is equal to this much. So the expression will be 25.4 divided by L plus W. That is in form of what? Mm actually. 0.4. So this relation is in form of millimeter. Right? But the size of the square. Okay, you can write. Next we'll decide this one, mesh size. Okay. So mesh number everybody understood, right? Number of openings, mesh number. But mesh size, then we have to find out the size. Okay. So mesh size formula is, you can write. This is a completed formula. Square root of 25.4 square percentage area opening divided by 100 into L square. So this is the formula for mesh size. The formula for mesh size. So you people understood this one. We got the previous calculation. If you remember, percentage area opening. This is the length of the opening or aperture. So now we need to do a numerical, simple numerical. Already we did that, but I don't know why your answer was wrong. But I calculated it was nearly close. Okay, anyways, just you can write the numerical. There is a copper square screen. You can write. There is a copper square screen with length of the aperture. There is a copper square screen with length of the aperture L is equal to 3.18 mm. 3.18 mm. And diameter of the screen, so diameter of the aperture is 1.2 mm. So diameter of the aperture is 1.2 mm. So what will be the percentage area opening? So what will be the percentage area opening? Condition applied. If the screen is in horizontal position, if the screen is in horizontal position, and second, if the screen is inclined at 20 degree, if the screen is inclined at a 20 degree, and last, find the mesh size of the screen. So these are the three things you need to find the mesh size of the screen. Now you can use the formula. Already given is what? It is a square screen. It doesn't matter it is copper or steel or whatever. Yeah. So you remember the formula I told you this one? Can you use this formula? First find out the percentage area opening. You remember? L by L plus W whole square into 100. That will give you percentage opening. You can get this kind of numerical in exam also. So simple numerical. So 52%. 3.18 divided by 4.38 whole square into 100 you'll get. The finally you end up with 0.726 whole square into 100. Finally you end up with 52.7. But previous class I don't know why it was wrong. Maybe minus was a minus. Okay. Anyways, so you understood that percentage area opening is 52% if the screen is in horizontal position, right? But the next question was if it is inclined. Suppose now I am inclining the screen at 20 degree, for example. 20 degree inclination. So what will be the opening? Percentage area opening. Yeah, the formula I told you, A naught cos theta. Very good, you remember that. So that I can write AOE is equal to A naught cos theta. So theta is 20 degree, fine. And already we calculate this one, 52.7 percentage, whatever. 49.53. Very good. So this is a very good concept here. You can see when I am keeping the screen in horizontal direction, I am getting more number of openings, right? That is 50, how much? 52.7. But the moment I am inclining at 20 degree, it is less, right? But still I can say we basically prefer an inclined screen rather than a horizontal screen, right? Why? Because you understood we want to use the gravitational force. Because if you incline the screen, what will happen? If you allow the mineral to fall, they will easily goes down and screening will be more effective. Why? Suppose this is the inclined screen and this is the horizontal screen, fine? If I will put the mineral like this, different layer of minerals, so what will happen? Only the bottom layer of the mineral is interacting with the holes, right, aperture. So it will pass away. But what happened to these layers? They cannot pass away, right? Either you need vibration, but if you need also vibration, you need more time. But the point is, if you feed the mineral like this, so here in this area, only bottom mineral is interacting with the aperture for the holes, it will pass away. But second layer will come here, third layer will come here like this, fourth layer will come here, and the top layer will come here. So every layer is interacting with the openings of the screen. If this is inclined, you understand my point? Successive layer will interact, so screening will be better, of course. So more is the interaction of your particles with the screen opening, screening will be more better. So that's why even if the number of openings in inclined condition is less, we prefer still this one, inclined condition. Is it fine up to this? Okay. The last, can you find out the mesh? Already I told you the formula. That means near to 6. So that mesh size is, you can say 6 micrometer or whatever you want. 5 mm. Okay, next we'll move to screen types. Screen types, nothing you have to remember. Actually, the point is, on the basis of opening, we already have discussed. Now, we can have square kind of screen, we can have rectangular kind of screen, round, and we can have bars, right? But the point is, the screen can be classified on the basis of whether it is stationary screen or whether it is moving, or dynamic screen. Some people call stationary screen, some people call dynamic. Stationary screen means screen will be completely stationary, it will not move at all. But dynamic screen means it will either move forward, backward, or it can vibrate like this, or it can move like this. So screen may be of different types. You can write one screen is called stationary, one is called your dynamic screen. So dynamic screen can be a vibrating screen, it can be a oscillating screen, it can be a gyratory screen, or it can be a revolving screen. Oscillating, gyratory, vibrating, and revolving. It can revolve also. All these kind of screens. So in other way, I can say in industry, which one will be more preferred? Of course, vibrating screens or oscillating screens or gyratory or revolving. Because why, can you tell me, just think of it, why this is required? Time save karega, okay, that is fine. Anything? Choking, okay. This can be explained in this way. You see, whenever we are doing mineral processing, that means crushing and grinding, you never end up with spherical particles. You have different shape of particles. Fine. For example, different shape of particles. All the particles will be not of same size or same shape, right? Suppose so these are your openings. This is screen, only single layer I am showing. Suppose you have a particle that is of this much size, right? And we have a particle which is this much size, and we have a particle which is this much size. I can extend it further, suppose, and I have a particle which is okay, fine. So you can see this particle cannot cross this aperture, okay, because bigger size. But this particle can easily cross.
Yes, sir.
This particle, what will happen? It cannot cross. Why? Because its orientation is like this. The size, the diameter is very less compared to this diameter. But the orientation is like this. It cannot pass. But what happened to this? It will pass. The orientation is like this. No, yeah, vibration. That is. But the point, yeah. If what he told, exactly, it is right. If you use a moving screen, for example, dynamic screen, it may be vibrating, it may be your oscillating, or it may be rotating like gyratory kind of motion. So what happened? A chance may be coming when this will orient like this. So that means the feed minerals may not have same size, may not have same shape, right? Some may be elongated, but diameter may be less. So in that condition, what will happen? The orientation may change during the vibration, or during the oscillation, or during the gyratory motion, right? So if the orientation, that means we try to orient themselves automatically so that they will pass, right? But if it will be stationary screen, what will happen? Orientation will not change. If it is stationary, it cannot pass. But if you are vibrating it or you are oscillating it, maybe it will oscillate, it will rotate back and it will come out like this. Okay, fine. So that is the significance of vibration, oscillation, or reciprocatory motion of the screens. Okay. So shape and size of the particle is also important, and dynamic screens are better than this stationary screen. Okay. So there is, you have to remember, there is one kind of screen called grizzly. You can write grizzly. Grizzly. Grizzly screen is a very robust screen, or you can say very what you can, yeah, robust. Robust means very heavy, very strong and tough. And those screens are basically attached in the starting. Starting means before doing crushing, you need to put that screen. It is so heavy and robust. And basically they are rectangular kind of screens. Grizzly. Robust means very tough and strong. It will not break. And those are actually made up of what? Made up of rails. Rails means, you understood the rails, like suppose this is one rail. Railway track kind of, you can understand rails. So okay. That means diameter is very large, but it will be tapered. Tapered. Actually, how I can say? Okay. I can draw like this. That means at the bottom part they are tapered, but the top part is flat. Bottom part is tapered, so that there will be no jamming actually. If they are parallel completely, the particle may get jammed in between the screens, in between the apertures. But the aperture is what? It is flat in the top and the bottom part is like tapered condition, narrowing down. So those are actually called rails. If you see the railway tracks also, the top part is, have you seen the railway tracks? Yes. The top part is flat, bottom part is somewhat tapered. Same kind of thing, right? And railway tracks is also very tough, very robust, right? Similarly, the Grizzly are also made of this railway tracks kind of thing, but it is tapered and they are very heavy duty. Heavy duty means it can withstand some 10-20 tons of material. You can imagine 20 tons of mineral you can feed, 10 tons of mineral you can feed, and it is the starting screen. After that, it will go to the jaw crusher or maybe the gyratory crusher, right? Because you understood, whenever you are doing mineral processing, mining, they are doing blasting most of the time. In open cast mining, they are doing blasting sometimes. Underground also they do blast. So the moment they will blast, some fines also generate, some cores also generate. So that's why what happened? If you charge everything into the jaw crusher or everything into the gyratory crusher, what will happen? The crusher will break. No, crusher will not break. The point is the throughput will decrease. No? Already fines are there. Why you charge fines? You only charge lumps. So better you do screening first. You allow the fines to pass away. Only the bigger size you feed into the jaw crusher or feed into the gyratory crusher. If you feed fines and cores, so the throughput will reduce. No? Yes. That means you are not doing proper mineral processing. You first remove all the fines, feed only the coarser particles. So that is actually called Grizzly technically. People may ask, what is a Grizzly screen? You can simply say Grizzly screen is very robust screen which we use in the starting of the mineral processing. First screen it is. And anybody remember whenever we are bringing the minerals from the mining, what is that called technically? Run-off mines, very good. So Grizzly are used for run-off mines. From the mining you are bringing the material, that is called run-off mines. So run-off mines, then Grizzly, then your jaw crusher, then your secondary crusher, cone crusher, then your screens, again you have a ball mill or whatever, then classifier, then concentrator. This is the line. Okay, fine, this is done. Screen types and screen capacity. Okay, so there is a concept called screen capacity. So screen capacity means what exactly? How many ton of material you are feeding on the screen per unit time, per unit surface area of the screen. You can write simply, otherwise you will forget. Screen capacity means how many weight of material you are feeding on the screen. How many weight of the material you are feeding on the screen per unit time, per unit area of the screen. How many weight? How much weight? How much weight of the material you are feeding on the screen per unit time, per unit surface area of the screen. Fine. Here weight is actually tons because we are dealing with ton of material, ton of minerals. So how many tons you are feeding per unit time, per unit area? Simple. That is capacity. So in industry, what do you think? We need a good high capacity or low capacity screen? Obviously, we need high capacity screen, right? So that we can, in a minimum time, we can charge more amount of material, we can get more amount of product, yes, right? But what happened to the efficiency? What do you think? If the screen capacity is more, what happened to the efficiency? Increases. It will decrease, of course. Actually, it will decrease, right? Because the screen area is, suppose your screen area is fixed. Your screen area is fixed. That means your opening is also fixed. The number of openings is also fixed. You are charging, suppose 1 ton. Again you are charging 2 tons. Again you are charging 3 tons. So more ton you will feed. Screen area is fixed. Number of openings is fixed. So capacity you are increasing. You are charging more tons. But the material which is passing will be less. You understand my point? Because finally you will end up with product having mixture of fine and coarse also, undersize and oversize. But if you are charging 1 ton of material simply, right, then you may have less number of undersize, more number of oversize. Oversize means coarser here, undersize means finer here for this screen. You understand my point? So you can increase the capacity, but you have to, but your screening efficiency will go down actually. So there is a concept of ideal screen or perfect screen. The screen is perfect. So what it means? Can you say, just think of what it means? That screen is perfect or ideal. That means whatever you feed the material, all the undersize will pass away. 100%. All the undersize will pass away. Right. In the product size, you will get only the coarser or oversized material. So that is perfect. Okay, fine. But it is not possible, never possible. You cannot get a 100% efficiency or 100% perfect screen. Okay, there is a, you can write the formula here. Screening efficiency for oversize. You can write screening efficiency for oversize. Efficiency is always written by like this. So screening efficiency for oversize is nothing but weight of the, you can write weight of the particles or minerals, whatever. Weight of the particles or the minerals. Weight of the particles or the minerals. Weight of the particles or minerals. Or you can write weight of the overflow particles obtained from the screen. Better. Weight of the overflow particles obtained from the screen divided by weight of the overflow particles obtained from the screen divided by weight of the actual oversized material. Divided by weight of the actual oversized material. Similarly, for undersize, you can write weight of the underflow materials from the screen. Weight of the underflow material from the screen. Weight of the underflow material from the screen divided by weight of the actual undersized material present in the field. Weight of the actual undersized material present in the field divided by weight of the actual undersized material present in the field. So here actually you should not confuse between undersize and oversize. Actually here undersize is fine particles, small size. Oversize is big. But once you go to classification, this may be different. Underflow and overflow. You should not confuse between this underflow and overflow. Right. In classification, underflow are actually coarser or having high density. Overflow is finer or low density. But here it is different. Here for the screens, underflow basically means fine. And overflow means oversize actually. Oversize, undersize and underflow, you should not get confused here. Okay, fine. This is done for this class. See, from this lecture you will get question definitely in the exam. Okay, you can